Hey there, I hope this video finds you well. Today we're going to be learning how to perceive the aura as well as what the different colors mean. If you're brand new to my channel, my name is Michael and I'm a professional psychic and spiritual advisor. I've mostly been posting tarot readings and horoscopes over the past couple of years, and this is actually the first time I am branching out into something new on my YouTube channel. As I've been preparing to expand into the next phase of my work, I have continued to see clients during this time. So if you're looking for a reading or a Reiki session, you can find all of my links in the description of this video. I am also offering written aura reports, which you can find in the store on my website, and I'm currently running a sale through November 5th on all of my readings. Before we get any further into this video, what is an aura? An aura is often described as a bioenergetic field or emanation around a living being, but in my opinion, this is kind of an inaccurate understanding of energy. I can see auras around pretty much everything, even objects we would consider non-living. Although living things generally do have more defined auras, everything that is physical is made up of energy, and an aura can be thought of as the energy that is projecting forward into physical reality and informing it. Knowing your dominant aura colors can help you identify your personality, strengths, weaknesses, relationship styles, health dispositions, and the themes and lessons of your life. Today, I'm just going to be offering a really concise interpretation of the colors, but I do plan to upload more in-depth videos for each color in the future. So if you're interested in those, be sure you're subscribed to my channel and hit the bell to be notified of every time I upload a video. It's actually fairly easy to learn to perceive auras, it just takes practice, for some a little more than others. You're not more or less spiritual if you have a hard time seeing energy, as everyone has different ways to connect with their intuition, and knowing your aura colors can actually be helpful in identifying the ways your intuition naturally comes to you. Today we're going to be using a simple technique that will not only help you see auras, it's also a fun and easy way to develop your clairvoyance and other psychic abilities. So let's get started. I find it best to practice this technique with a plain and well-lit background. I personally find it easier to see auras in front of a white background, but some people do find that dim light or darker backgrounds work better for them. So feel free to experiment and adjust these variables if you're having a hard time. You can either try to see the aura around the head or the neck, which you can actually do on yourself in the mirror, or between or around your fingers by extending your hand out at arm's length in front of you. The first step is to focus your gaze on a center point. This could be the brow, nose, mouth, or palm of your hand. It may be helpful to imagine or visualize seeing the world in front of you through your third eye, the center of your forehead here, in addition to your physical eyes. You can also imagine that your energy is expanding outwards or ask your subject to do so. It is ideal for you or your subject to be stationary, especially when you're first learning to develop your auric sight. Alternatively, if you are looking at someone else, sometimes it actually is easier to see their energy when they're engaging in or speaking about something that they genuinely care about. So for the second step, soften your gaze on your center point and calm your mind by taking slow and deep breaths. If you have a hard time quieting your mind, simply try your best to detach from your thoughts without stress. You really want to be in as neutral a state as possible, as your thoughts or emotions may actually reflect as colors in your aura that are different from your primary colors. Also let go of any expectations or assumptions as to what you think your aura should look like. Openness is key. Within a couple of minutes, you may begin to see a visual distortion like heat lines or an afterimage. It's crucial to resist the impulse to avert your gaze at this point, as it will most likely cause your aura to disappear and require you to start over. It's commonly believed that it is easiest to see the aura through the peripheral vision, which may explain why we can lose track of it when it's no longer in the side of our visual field. Finally, pay attention to any colors that appear around you or your subject while you maintain your gaze on your center point. You may not see distinct colors right away, or even the first several times you attempt this technique. If you don't see any colors, try finding or sensing the shape of the aura and imagine or intuit its colors. Sometimes engaging with energy in this way will be just enough to cause a color to bloom or appear in your mind's eye. I actually know of several people who are able to sense the same colors that I do without actually being able to physically see the aura. It's also very common to see shades of white, violet, or blue when you're first learning to see aura, but this doesn't necessarily mean that these are the dominant colors. These colors seem to represent our intuition interfacing with our nervous system, and it may actually require patience or practice before you can really see a wider spectrum of color. With practice, this technique tends to become easier and take less time for you to perceive the aura. Don't be surprised if the aura seems to move or if the colors appear around different parts of the body. I find that most people either have 2 or 3 colors that consistently appear around them, and it might actually be a good idea to track the colors you see around yourself in a journal and note what you've done that day and how you felt. As you become more familiar with the aura, you may identify natural rhythms and patterns. Auras are also more than colors. They can have textures, sparkles, inclusions, and even sounds. As for the different meanings of the colors you see, you can find many descriptions online. I've actually provided timestamps for my own descriptions down below, which are based on my own observations and interactions with these colors. I do plan to upload more in-depth videos in the future. However, I actually really encourage you to try and decode the significance of the colors you see for yourself. You are your own best psychic. While I usually see the same or similar colors when I teach other people to see auras, it's possible that you may perceive different colors than another person. Your intuition ultimately comes to you in the ways that you are best equipped to interpret for yourself. And also keep in mind that there are many different layers of the aura, and you might be more adept at perceiving specific layers than others. An air of power, authority, and determination often exudes from the red aura. These bold spirits are honest, passionate, loyal, and fierce protectors of the people and causes they hold dear. They're natural initiators and often end up in leadership roles or working independently. They tend to express their highly physical nature through athleticism, sexuality, or pragmatism. These fiery personalities can struggle with anger issues, especially when they're younger. Many with this aura color are skeptical of new approaches or perspectives and tend to stick to what they know. I don't actually see many clients with red auras, as these people tend to be less interested in spirituality and metaphysics overall. People with red auras generally don't concern themselves with intangible things or are even suspicious of the non-physical. They usually refer to their intuition as a gut feeling or instinct, and when they are aligned, they seem to have this uncanny ability to be in the right place at the right time. They can actually be really powerful manifestors in this way, especially since they have the natural drive to work towards their desires. Some of them also report having a sort of danger sense, or dreaming of accidents or disasters before they occur. This actually makes a lot of sense to me because red aura people are usually the ones to respond in these situations first. Sometimes this color pops up in or around the aura when someone is trying to appear strong or intimidating, which is usually an indication of unresolved trauma. I occasionally see very young children add red to their aura as if to orient to their bodies and develop a sense of autonomy. You could almost call red an auric manifestation of the terrible twos. A person with an orange aura is usually hyper-aware and sensory-seeking. Some crave comfort and are very soothing, while others are more adventurous and adrenaline-chasing. I sometimes think of this color as having 2 different subtypes based on these preferences, with the former usually appearing more yellow and the latter with more of a reddish tinge. Of course, there are plenty of orange aura people who seek out both types of experience. You could think of the orange aura as possessing the physicality of the red aura and the curiosity of yellow, driving them to really explore the world through their 5 senses. Their creativity is copious and usually manifests through artistry, craftsmanship, or devising solutions to overcome physical challenges or improve their surroundings. Aesthetics are not just superfluous details to these very sensual people. They can be very particular about the way things should appear, sound, feel, taste, or smell. Their heightened senses actually do seem to lean into extrasensory perception sometimes as well, with a slight proclivity towards the more unusual psychic senses like clairalience, which is clear smell, or clairgustance, which is clear taste. These often come up when connecting with dead people or intuitively discerning the properties of plants. While they sometimes come across as fussy or even indulgent, these souls live to experience and share the very best that life has to offer. Sometimes this color shows up in the aura when someone is dealing with addictions, metabolic imbalances, or sensory overload. It is more common for me to see this color between people rather than an individual, and I'll often see it between sexual partners or bodywork practitioners and clients. People with yellow auras tend to have active minds and are constantly on the go. Yellow personalities are usually bright, curious, and enjoy meeting new people and learning new things. They tend to be detail-oriented and task-driven and usually do quite well in life. Although their perfectionist tendencies can cripple or even paralyze them, it is usually to their benefit. They are usually put together and have a good eye for aesthetics and presentation. These people can be prone to anxiety and have control issues, and they usually want to do everything for themselves. When they are able to hone their minds, they can be quite claircognizant or intuitive, just knowing things without knowing why or how they know them. When they are healthy, they're usually a joy to work with and be around, as they just have this positive and productive energy. Despite being very capable on their own, they actually do tend to be more social and extroverted and prefer working with other people. They can be wonderful friends and loyal partners who give honest support, but unfortunately they very rarely receive the same level of thought or care in return. To be fair though, most people just aren't capable of the same level of performance or thought a yellow person is, so this isn't necessarily a reflection of how others feel about them. Yellow people usually have to learn to curb their expectations and not take the actions of others so personally. Yellow is one of the most common overlays or colors that we add to the aura that is not an authentic expression of self. I regularly see this color show up around people who are trying to appear positive or put together, especially in a workspace setting. I sometimes see yellow show up over someone's eyes when they are rationalizing or have some sort of mental block, especially if someone is experiencing some strong emotion that doesn't make sense to them, and therefore they're just unable to perceive they are feeling that way at all. Sometimes someone who is anxious, overstimulated, or overcaffeinated will show up with a yellow-orange stain around their aura, which ironically actually does kind of remind me of a coffee stain. So up next we have the Chartreuse aura. This yellow-green color might actually be what other psychics refer to as a tan aura, but personally I haven't seen an aura that I would describe as tan-colored, but the characteristics seem similar enough. Maybe our intuition just interprets this color in a different way. This color is uncommon, and another one I don't see very often in my line of work, as they usually don't believe in spirituality or have any significant interest in it. Chartreuse aura people are very analytical, logical, and detail-oriented. They're usually very self-sufficient and frequently come across as loners. I typically see this color in science and tech fields, as well as outdoor survivalists. Artists and musicians with this color tend to be very calculating in their craft and often use technology or even feature heavy sci-fi elements. These people are natural problem solvers and love challenging themselves by working within limits and restrictions. Some of them are actually very non-conforming because they question beliefs or practices that are illogical to them. They're not necessarily going to participate in something just because everyone else around them is doing it too. It has to make sense to them. While they usually excel in all other areas of life, emotions and relationships really are kind of challenging for them. They're frequently misunderstood and struggle with feeling isolated. They may even be perceived as critical or possibly even mean, when in my eyes they genuinely are just trying to be helpful. Of course, this dynamic really can foster resentment and bitterness too. It could be helpful to ask before they give their feedback, and if you know someone with this aura color, make sure to ask them lots of questions and pick their brain. This is actually a really great way to show you that you care about them and value their insight. They really are good at troubleshooting and can even seem to possess an intuitive ability to just diagnose problems or know what to check first. To be honest, I don't typically see Chartreuse as an authentic color in someone's aura. It usually shows up as an indication of someone who is just totally shut down to their emotions or extremely withdrawn. When this color is healthfully expressed, however, there's this really beautiful openness and curiosity to life, which can almost take on a neon appearance in the aura. Green falls in the middle of the visible color spectrum, which is a great way to think of this balanced aura color. It was actually the hardest color for me to describe in a concise way, as it shows up around many different types of people. They can be grounded and spiritual, scientific and holistic, technological and nature-loving all at the same time. Green is a color of growth, so abundance, prosperity, and realizing potential are often top priorities. Many actually discover spiritual concepts on their quest for success or self-mastery. Despite craving consistency, they tend to go through very different and pronounced phases in their life, but this is ultimately how they develop their well-rounded sense of self. While there are people with green auras who become wildly successful from a young age, most actually seem to take a little longer finding themselves. They can sometimes deny or neglect their emotions, which can further drive them to create identities based on their achievements or skills or perceived lack thereof, and lose touch with who they are deep down. As they mature, they tend to embrace a mindset of life as a journey and stop constantly comparing where they are to where they want to be. While they can be very stabilizing in a crisis situation, their need to feel centered can make them uncomfortable with prolonged emotions or intimate relationships. Green is one of the colors associated with healing and can show up around healers of all sorts, especially integrative bodywork practitioners such as massage therapists or yoga instructors. It may also pop up around people who are trying to create balance or healing in themselves. Turquoise aura individuals are some of the most energetically sensitive people in the aura spectrum. They tend to be highly intuitive and drawn to all sorts of healing modalities. I often perceive Reiki itself as a turquoise light. The presence of a turquoise aura can actually help move stagnant or blocked energies, and it's vital that these natural healers feel flow in their bodies and surroundings. While this color is rare, I tend to attract a lot of them as friends and clients, so I suspect many of you watching this may have this color as well. Many of them come across as old souls and seem drawn to past life regression work. I notice that even in those without any past life memories, however, there's a strong connection to a historical era, often coming through the way they dress or decorate their homes. They're designed to express or bring attention to what is not being said through their actions or words, and boundaries tend to be lifelong lessons for them, as these empathic individuals can have a really difficult time separating their own thoughts and feelings from the people around them. Similar to the crystal aura, they are very sensitive and are like energetic filters. So maybe it comes at no surprise that many of their health issues seem to manifest in filtration organ systems like skin, liver, and urinary tract. While they're actually prone to a wide variety of health issues, that often catalyzes them to be healing for others. You can find many of them as holistic or integrative healthcare practitioners, often beginning in more traditional medicine before branching out into something more specialized or holistic. Sometimes people add this color to their aura when they are channeling healing energy or messages. A blue aura typically envelops those who are caring, intuitive, sensitive, and relational. These individuals are perhaps the most service-oriented color in the aura spectrum. More often than not, they're spiritual and often live a life of devotion. One can usually find blue auras working as healthcare providers, counselors, teachers, or any other sort of helping profession. When I used to work in a hospital, I saw blue around almost every single nurse, and actually started to wonder if my auric site was broken. Regardless of where one finds these people, they are sure to offer a personal touch or a soothing presence. It's a frequent occurrence for them to just have a stranger divulge their entire life story. Blue people are very much empaths, and of all the traditional empath colors, they're perhaps the most equipped to deal with the largest number of people for the longest periods of time. Of course, they absolutely need to take time and space for themselves to recharge, and even at social gatherings will frequently step away or even help out in the kitchen just to get some space. As natural givers, they struggle with boundaries and may use coping mechanisms like food in lieu of practicing healthy self-care. Small gestures tend to go very far for these people, as they are very easily touched by kindness. Those with this aura color understand on a deep level that what people need most is connection, and very often everything that they do for other people is simply to be a bridge or vehicle for that. Those with an indigo aura yearn for truth, knowledge, and understanding. While they can appear outwardly calm or collected, they usually feel things intensely and have a deep need to live in accordance with their convictions. Indigos understand the interconnection between all things. whether that's interpreted through a metaphysical or scientific lens. Despite claims to the contrary, not all people with indigo auras are spiritual. In fact, I find that many of them are agnostic or atheists, especially if they had religious upbringings or trauma that made them turn against spirituality altogether. Of course, those who are spiritual tend to devote their entire lives to it. Whatever an indigo does believe in, they believe in with all of their heart. They are able to quickly and intuitively understand overarching systems or concepts and easily perceive how individual parts play into a greater whole. When they're empowered, they are lucidly aware of subconscious wounds and patterns and tend to have very obvious psychic proclivities. It can feel like they see right into your soul, and they usually do crave deep or transcendent relationships. Many of them struggle to live with their sensitivity and may isolate or shut down to cope. Unfortunately, many do struggle with victimhood, addictions, and even suicidality, which is why I think an indigo really does need to believe in something, even if that's just an ideal or life mission. Sometimes indigo shows up when someone is doing psychic or shadow work, as this color helps us become aware of the subconscious mind and underlying patterns. Those with violet as a primary aura color often feel a real impetus to fulfill a higher purpose or connect with something greater than themselves. These free spirits crave change, and their intuition usually leads them off the beaten path in life. They're not usually the type to stick with a job or a relationship unless it really matches who they are deep down. They require a lot of freedom to be themselves and space to grow. There is usually a longing to feel special or unique with this aura color, which isn't inherently wrong, but is often demonized and suppressed in early life. Many violet adults deny this aspect of who they are, which can manifest in them feeling empty or even resentment. Truly, they are meant to share their energy, vision, or wisdom with others in some capacity. Violet people love exploring beyond their own horizons and tend to be well-traveled or worldly in some way. These people tend to be spiritual, or at least interested in esoteric concepts or practices. The need to be exceptional can propel the violet towards extraordinary things that benefit their calling, but can become destructive if not properly tempered. At their worst, they can slip into delusional grandeur or narcissism and lash out or reject anyone who threatens their ego or ideals. But this is most extreme. Violet is a color that people may add when they are going through a major life change, a perspective shift, or personal breakthrough. Encountering a lavender aura is in many ways like spotting a unicorn. This aura color often indicates a connection to fantasy worlds or spiritual realms, and sometimes appears around mediums, channelers, or survivors of near-death experiences. Whereas a violet personality often feels called to make an impact or leave their mark on the world, the lavender individual often seems perfectly content drifting through life with their head in the clouds. These gentle spirits tend to be simple and without a long list of wants or desires. Dissociation and spiritual bypassing are common issues for them, as they are prone to neglect their needs or responsibilities. They may forget to eat or sleep or otherwise take care of themselves, which can leave them in frail health. They're usually pretty sensitive to stimuli and do well when they have a nest that they are able to retreat to. When balanced, they can be wise beyond their years and undisturbed by the dramas of daily life. They can be wonderful storytellers or visual artists, but can struggle on following through with their inspiration. Creativity is actually the best way to ground for this very ethereal energy. A lavender aura person is meant to connect to another world and then come back and share it with others in some way. When lavender shows up as an addition to the aura, it can indicate inspired creativity, spiritual connection, a peace with death, as well as dissociation or even delusional thinking, especially when it's around the eyes or ears. Given that I almost exclusively see lavender around very young children and those nearing the end of life, this color really does seem to be associated with the portal between birth and death, the seen and unseen, and all the worlds that exist beyond our own. A person with a pink aura really does seem to see the world through rose-colored glasses. Very similar to the lavender aura, pink is usually more connected with the people around them. Living from the heart, these people are typically gentle, romantic, and optimistic. They are regarded as physically beautiful and usually have a good eye for aesthetics. A pink aura person often feels a deep longing to love and be loved. Familial bonds are of great importance to them, whether they are cultivated through their families of origin or chosen families. They might even refer to their friends as siblings like brother or sister. While they may come across as naive, they can actually be very bright people. Many pinks absorb and remember detailed or complex information very quickly, while sometimes demonstrating a surprising lack of common sense. They also tend to be highly sensitive and empathic, but are usually unable to process too much negativity or intensity. They're actually prone to use denial or spiritual bypassing to cope with uncomfortable or heavy emotions, and may use their gift to see the good in just about every person or situation to their own detriment. While some people are prone to fight or flight, the primary stress response of the pink aura is to fawn, which is to act as agreeable, innocent, non-confrontational, and placating as possible in an attempt to avoid conflict or rally others to their aid when they're being attacked or mistreated. Of course, this can and does backfire. While this aura color seems to be the closest energy to unconditional love, it is important for them to differentiate love from attachment, as they're often drawn to codependent or toxic relationships. I find that this rare color is more common around children, especially girls, and seems to fade with age. This also makes sense when you consider that children are often associated with unconditional love. It may show up as an addition in the aura when someone is in the early stage of infatuation or trying to put on a positive or flirtatious front. It can also mean a person isn't seeing things objectively if it shows up around the eyes or upper face. A person with a magenta aura can just announce their presence without ever saying a word, and usually has an obvious flair to them. They may have a striking appearance or captivating presence. Whether they admit it or not, they seem to relish in turning heads or receiving double takes as they walk through a crowd. One could say these people don't really care what others think of them, just so long as they're being spoken of or thought about at all. These dramatic and creative individuals are frequently drawn to performance or visual arts, and usually produce very distinct work. They can sometimes make others feel tense or uneasy, especially when their energy is imbalanced or inauthentically expressed. Others may sense this intensity boiling inside of them, and they certainly are prone to fiery or dramatic outbursts. These flamboyant spirits are practically designed to draw attention to themselves as they disrupt the monotony of life. While many of them experience significant trauma, they often come across as hardy or resilient. They're meant to break down walls, including their own, and to express their vulnerable aspects for the sake of helping others heal or find their own voice. Of course, the nature of trauma can make this very difficult at first. It's rare for magenta to show up as a primary aura color, but can appear around the aura of someone who is undergoing a radical transformation or perspective shift. Some adolescents add magenta to their aura to establish a sense of self and break the molds they are expected to fill. Sometimes magenta shows up around someone who is experiencing agitation, mania, or even altered states of consciousness. The last two aura colors I'm going to talk about are so incredibly rare, I almost didn't include them in this video. They're what I refer to as iridescent auras. The first type is the crystal aura. There are few things as mesmerizing as looking a crystal aura person in the eyes. There are no masks, lies, or deceptions. It truly is like gazing into a mirror. Crystal auras appear as bright, clear, and literally have a glassy or reflective quality, taking on the colors of other people they interact with. They actually remind me a lot of opals. When they're alone or centered, their auras may appear white or even transparent. They're sensitive in pretty much every sense of the word and require ample solitude to recharge. As profoundly empathic and natural healers, they have an unusual tendency to take on or manifest the ailments or imbalances of those around them, especially if they lack boundaries or develop sense of self. They often develop mysterious and chronic health conditions and can be wounded healers in this way. Crystal aura people are akin to a biologist referred to as an indicator species, such as amphibians, which are highly sensitive to changes in their environment and are often the first to develop problems or mutations. They experience energetic consequences faster than most other aura colors do, and they're meant to show what is not in balance for the collective at large. At their lowest, they can develop codependent or even vampiric tendencies. The second type of iridescent aura, the rainbow aura, is definitely the rarest aura I'm going to be mentioning today. Some people believe that the rainbow aura is just showing up for the first time, but I personally believe all of the colors have incarnated throughout history. We're just seeing certain colors more frequently or becoming more aware of them. Some people call them new souls, which may or may not actually be true, but they really do come across as young at heart. They seem to embody the Zen Buddhist concept of Shoshin, or the beginner's mind. People with rainbow auras really take in every moment as if they're experiencing it for the first time and have this unparalleled sense of openness. These vibrant auras either manifest as a wide spectrum of colors all at once, like the mist off of a waterfall, or as a constantly shifting array from moment to moment, or really second to second. They usually come across as joyful, youthful, and eccentric. While they're able to relate to just about anyone, most people have a hard time relating to them. Their rarity may make them even more prone to being misunderstood or isolated. When they're aligned, however, they have a powerful ability to impart their emotions or energy onto others, making them effective catalysts and vehicles for transformation and upliftment. Unlike most other empaths, they actually require a lot of energetic feedback, and so they're almost always extroverted in that sense. They thrive living with loved ones or in close-knit communities and can easily become unwell when they lack close connection. And those are all the aura colors that we are going to be discussing today. I do hope that this video was interesting and helpful for you, and if it was, definitely be sure to hit like, as that lets me know that you're interested in this sort of content. Again, this is something that's brand new on my channel, so I'd love to hear your feedback. Also, if you did sense or see colors, comment down below what your experience was. I would love to hear it. I think this technique is so interesting and a great way to develop your psychic abilities yourself. All of my links are in the description box down below, and I will see you all in the next video.